I've never met a single person who told me, I love getting up in the morning at 9 a.m., opening up 10 websites and then copy pasting data into a spreadsheet. And it's archaic to me that we still have people doing that in 2025. AI means you will have to better understand computational thinking. I think almost everyone's jobs are going to become more like engineering, right? And now as that market gets more and more saturated, other people will have to upskill or learn how to think and execute in this way if they want to stay ahead of the curve. There is no alpha in doing the same things as everything. If you look at the trend of go-to-market over the last, let's say, 2 decades, cold outbound was the hottest thing on the market 15 years ago. The reason it was the hottest thing on the market is because no one else was doing it.
Hey, Yash, how's it going? Good to see you, man.
Going well.
I think you have a fantastic background, Yash. You've dabbled in edtech. You're kind of the founding GTM engineer for this legendary product, Clay. So welcome to Edbound with Kinner. So man, Clay, legendary, right? I think you've been here for a while and you kind of led data research, and now I see GTM engineering. This part of the world, I think it would be fantastic if you could just, in your words, talk a little bit about the magic of Clay. I literally feel it's magic.
Yeah. Happy to be here. Thanks for having me. So I think I'll do intro first quickly, and then we can talk a little bit about the magic of Clay. I'm Yash. I have a background all over the place. I like to say it's a jack of all trades or a generalist type skill set. I started out in ed tech. I was a high school teacher, and I also built an online apprenticeship business. And then after that, was a data scientist, hopped around management consulting, worked with Seth Godin over at Alt MBA, which was one of the best online courses I think I ever took as a student, and had the incredible honor to also work with him as a coach and as a journalist after that. And I've done too many things. I'm not going to list my whole resume here, but, hopped around venture capital, did some work back in data, did some product work, and then found my way ultimately to Clay, which was through Varun, one of the co-founders, who was a close friend. And he had just discovered Clay himself. And this was, you have to remember, I think the first time I was introduced to Clay was really 3 years ago. And so Clay was a very different product back then. It was more of a Rose competitor than it was what it is today, which is to say it was just a spreadsheet with APIs. It was much more horizontal. There was no focus on GTM whatsoever. And it was powerful in what it was capable of doing, but not focused enough in any one way to be extraordinary to any one person. And so a lot of that is actually Varun and Kareem, right around the time I met Clay, were focusing and pivoting on where the product would go. They started to really dial in on the people that were seeing the most value at that time, which were cold outbound agency owners, because they felt the problem of outbound X larger than even your regular business owners do, because they're doing it at scale across multiple clients and multiple companies.
It is literally magic, man. I mean, what I want to do, a lot of people who listen to us, and I understand all the terminology that you're talking about. A lot of people that listen to us are CMOs and CEOs. So what I want to do, let's think of a story. Now, I know you've spoken about Outbound and how you replaced all of these tools. The simplest application that drew me into Clay, that kind of like how I introduce to people who are totally non-technical. I usually tell them, imagine if you're sending 500 emails to your own customers, 500 customers. You could customize the email language to the last LinkedIn post that guy did or anything else from the internet, and you could talk about that without having to write a single personalized email yourself. Like AI could do that in the enrichment tables. And I mean, that's how I like to talk about it. But could you give it a try? Like, I mean, if I had to introduce it to a CEO, non-technical.
Yeah. Well, so here's like one attempt I'll take at doing it, right? Which is that I think I love the like outbound way to describe Clay. I would even say another one that I think a lot about is we often talk about data enrichment, right? Because the outbound doesn't work if you don't have the data. And so let's say we were explaining Clay to a 5-year-old, right? And I think you have no knowledge of Excel, like anything else. I think you say, hey, all the toys that you currently have to go buy separately and go play with separately at the store, and then put together yourself, and then you have to use only one toy at a time in order to have the entire experience that you want. Now you have one toy that brings together every single toy you know and love playing with into just one place where you can share it with your friends, build anything you want to, and have whatever use cases you want to out of that. And so I think to translate that to the adult CEO perspective, it would be hey, now instead of you going out and buying 12 to 16 different data tools and vendors, and then still having yourself, buying is just the first step. You still have to duct tape all the systems together. So you're not only spending on actually purchasing the tools, you're also implicitly spending on human costs and labor costs to use all those tools. Cut through all of that, simplify the purchase. You just make one choice because we connect to everything. And then you only use one thing. You use the tool to access everything else. So now the learning curve, the depth of actual needing to use the tool has gone down dramatically. And so you can get back to doing the work that matters most, which is actually being on calls with customers, actually closing deals. And that's where people feel the most fulfilled anyways. I've never met a single person who told me, I love getting up in the morning at 9 a.m., opening up 10 websites and then copy pasting data into a spreadsheet. And it's archaic to me that we still have people doing that in 2025.
I agree. I think it's brilliantly put. I think that the 5-year-old child's example is a fantastic one because, that's truly what it enables. So, you're leading education at Clay as well now, which is interesting. Us being Edbound, my question is around how does this fit in? Like, imagine a GTM team. Imagine somebody trying to grow their company, trying to get the next 200 customers. How would you design the GTM and where does education fit in? Would you see that a small team powered with Clay and a platform like ours where they're hosting, all the content, courses, webinars, how does it work? Like,
yeah, it's a great question. It's one of the reasons I love the Edbound name for you guys, because I think we could sit here and have a conversation about how education is really at the core of all these go-to-market activities, right? I think if you go interview the best sellers at all of the best companies, you'll find the same trend over and over again, which is that more than sell, what they do is they educate, right? When you hop on a call with an incredible seller, you walk away with new worldviews, new data points, and a better picture of the industry. Because ultimately what salespeople in today's world have become are really just highly informed educationers, teachers. Let's just call them education teachers.
coaches. I like the word coaches.
Coaches is a much
That's,
better word. Yeah.
yeah.
So let's say salespeople have become really, really deft coaches in their areas of expertise. And then salespeople are just talking to people who are more generalist player coaches at companies and larger industries and who need, when they're making a purchasing decision, to talk to a coach who knows everything about just that area and get the full information. I think, for example, right, what maybe would be taboo in some sales cultures is let's talk about what all your other options are. I think in today's day and world, AI is going to make it way too easy for you to go get all the information that you need. So you can build trust as a salesperson by also educating any potential prospect on the market, the tooling, the landscape, and being honest about what the pros and cons of each decision are. The best salespeople, in my opinion, will also tell you just as readily, this is not a product you should buy if it doesn't meet your needs, because maybe down the line, the product changes, the customer changes, and they'll come back. They'll remember that interaction.
That's golden, man. Now, let's just change gears, and this is an important question. I want to ask you, from all your experience, if a company is trying to get their first 150 customers, they have to go from 0 to 150 customers, maybe in mid-market, right? Like, how would you structure their GTM?
Yeah, so if you just started, I would actually say, and let's keep it tool agnostic for now, because I think ultimately GTM is all about the strategy, and then you pick the tools that match the approach best. If you just started, the honest answer is go through your network. Talk to your friends, talk to the people you're already connected to, talk to your investors if you have them on the table, even if it's just a friends and family round. Try and get your initial design partners. Because if you have 0 customers, it matters much more to just have 5 to 10 customers that you can start learning from than it does to start building a scalable motion. So actually, at 0, you really want to go personal network, design partners, friends, people who are willing to take a risk on you, and then give them special deals, give them discounts, just get the customer information, feedback, and data that you need. And then once you have a couple of early design partners and customers, I would say the name of the game is test, iterate, and refine on your messaging. So don't immediately go after a list of, let's say, 100,000 of your dream customers. because the risk that you run is burning through that list real fast and not understanding how to actually build your outbound motion. So let's just take up the hypothetical example of me being the CEO of an AI contract management software, right? I'm going to assume that the unmet needs that my customers are feeling are that they spend a lot of manual time and costs on contract management, obligation management, renewals. I'm going to assume that they feel the pain of missed opportunities, missed expansion, missed renewals. And then I'm going to try and find the people at the companies that I want to reach out to. And I'm not going to blast them all at the same time because I don't have the capacity, even if they all responded, to take 100 calls this week. So we're going to batch that outreach into highly personalized segments for maybe I'll send out, 100 to 200 messages a week and then see what I convert, right? I might even test different types of copy. What you're trying to test is, are people responding to me? Are people willing to hop on calls? And if you're doing the right job, you'll get at least 5 to 6 calls just from an initial batch of 100 or 200, because that's average, right?
Yeah.
But then the last piece of this process is your goal on those calls is never to sell. Don't talk about your product. I am the CEO founder of this AI contract legal management company. I admired your background because you've been general counsel at WhatsApp and Facebook prior. You now work as internal counsel at another fast growing tech company. Your background really stands out to me because you're facing and probably know the problems they're trying to solve really well. Could I just grab 15 minutes of your time to learn from you and ask you a couple of specific questions about what you feel in the space? And that then you stick to that, right? You hop on the call when you book those calls and you ask them these non-leading questions about, tell me how you currently handle contract renewals today. Tell me how your team currently goes through red lines. Walk me through the processes. What tools have you bought for legal management obligation?
More of a consulting approach because I'd been a consultant. I'd worked with CEOs of these large companies like Carrier, and many others around the world, and this was exactly the approach we would take, a consultative approach. But I think brilliant ideas. I think because there's so many golden nuggets there, to be honest, and I love the way you put it.